The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys? Yeah!
Let's go, baby!
Are you ready for a break?
Yes.
Are you ready for a break?
Absolutely.
Ready for a break?
Yeah, and so much for that.
It's time for The Break on DallasCowboys.com.
We were on the break!
With Nick Eatman, David Hellman, Ambar Garcia, and Derek Eagleton.
It's Thursday, November 18th, 2021, Season 17, Episode number 64. Welcome to the latest edition of The Break, live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. Nick, 64.
Well, I'm going to have to tell a story.
Oh,
Okay?
okay, that's a new thing for you.
Yeah, I'm going to have to tell a story with this. So, I think it's like 2012, maybe 11.
Okay.
2012, we're in a training camp in Oxnard. So we're sitting there, practice. You know, Jason Garrett likes to have a little music going. Todd Archer,
oh God,
who's next to me, we're just watching practice, and we're out in California, and they're playing. Yeah. California knows how to party. Yeah. Right. So I don't know if I did this or Todd did this. I think I would do this, but
Doesn't seem like a Todd kind of thing.
it doesn't. But I think he did. I might have just taken it to the next verse or two. So we're just sitting there practicing, and he just named Montre Holland as the starter. So practice is going on, and they got the music going, and one of us just said, Montre Holland is now the starter. Oh, this is a clean version. Montre Holland is now the starter. In the city of Oxnard, he keeps on blocking. He keeps on blocking it. It was funny. It was a lot funnier at the time.
You going to do the whole song?
Block it, Montre. Block it.
I
Block
used the
Montre.
phrase
Yeah.
painfully white earlier this week.
There you go.
Yeah.
I like it. It's funny.
It was funny.
It's funny, Nick.
A lot of people every year now. You talk to different people that are still there covering. They still, when that song comes on, everyone's like Montre Holland. Yeah, he was awesome. He's a cool dude, and he was just the starter. There's different versions of it, but the version
I've heard a different version.
you've heard a different version, but
different versions.
it's okay. That's there's always a radio edit, and then there's a different version.
That's a good
explicit.
point. That's a good point.
I got another story about him.
Sure, why not?
I took my little girl to Disney on Ice one year.
Okay.
Like $100 worth of Disney gear.
That sounds about
Cinderella
right,
sword and wand and all this stuff.
Cinderella
$20 snow
sword?
cone, whatever it was. Rapunzel had a wig. Yeah.
Okay.
And I sent a picture. Took a picture, sent to my mom. No response. 2 hours. Finally realized I actually sent it to Montre Holland instead of my mom. I don't even know why I had his number. Yeah, he never responded to that. I don't know. So anyways, love Montre Holland. He keeps on blocking.
Nick
He
came
keeps
in
on
yesterday
blocking.
to tell me this, and I started singing this song. It was in my head.
All
Because
day.
everybody knows that's like Montre Holland.
And
of course,
so that's been the song. And I do apologize for the people that didn't pick Larry Cole yesterday, 63. Wow.
Oh,
63.
did you get a lot of those?
I did, a little bit, yeah. He actually knocked on my door one time. 63, Larry Cole comes to my house.
Weird.
It was kind of weird, but yeah.
See?
You want to tell me why?
You're always
Yeah.
having weird run-ins with
That's true.
Like Nick's always
That's true.
He's like, yeah, I almost hit that guy with my car the other day.
I almost hit Kellen Moore in the car, and there's no doubt. I was driving. He was running, and just one of those
Where?
things. Right out here, right out at the start. He was running. I don't know why I can't just run over here, but he was running in the street, and
Not in the street. I'm sure it's on the sidewalk.
Well, in the sidewalk.
Yeah, but the driveway
But
runs through the sidewalk.
when
that's
you're
true.
sidewalk runs through
This
the
is one of my
driveway.
biggest fears in life too.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you're trying to turn like left onto a street and you're like looking, make sure you're clear here, you're clear. It's
Yeah.
always the pedestrian that's like running. Like you or somebody like you always have to.
It's almost happened to me before. Yeah.
Right, because you're not thinking about them, you're thinking of the street,
Right.
And then so I kind of did that, and this guy was like, "Oh, it looks like Kellen Moore." So
And you almost hit Kellen.
could have affected the whole number one offense in the league. So
Who writes that article?
Nick.
I don't work here.
That's
I don't work here anymore. So
DallasCowboys.com,
Man,
responsible for offensive
yeah,
coordinator. going to
former
the hospital.
writer.
I might email you and be like, look, I know this is a tough time, but I ain't writing this. Can you come on, help me out?
As an
I'll do
outgoing
this.
present to us.
Yeah, yeah.
Why don't you take care of this one? All right.
Been a contributing writer that Nick is in.
Right, there you go. All right, let's jump in and get some Cowboys talk going here. We got in the second segment, as we do all the time, we got Bucky Brooks joining us. We'll talk about the Kansas City defense versus the Cowboys offense during that segment. But let's first start with some injuries.
Still singing it.
You are too. Like, it's still in your head. Like, it is in there.
This is why you wanted to have some music. Like the music licensing, obviously, we got some issues. But
I apologize to Tom Rafferty, the former center for the
that.
years. He was a really good player. There's always an answer, but to me, Montre Holland was
it's got to
the
be
answer.
Montre Holland.
Yeah.
All right, let's get a catch up on Tyron Smith. Where is he? What's he doing?
It's good. He had a limited practice yesterday. He's going to do the same thing today. Like I said yesterday, like Mike McCarthy's not going to tell us how much he does during team, but the arrow's pointing up. It is. But I didn't even do that on purpose. Good job.
Nice.
Today's the padded day. Mike said it today himself. It's the heavy lifting day. So if he has a good day today, that'll be a really good indicator. And I think that he will.
You think that he will? You think he'll play?
I think he's going to play in this game. I already said that this week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's talk about Greg Zuerlein. He's actually returning from COVID today. What do you think the Cowboys should do with Liram Havalahu?
Is he on the practice
I think
squad? He moved back to the practice
squad. Keep him.
Keep him
Keep
around.
him on the practice squad.
Why not? I hate to sound glib, but there's 16 spots. Like, you don't need every guy on the practice squad to be contribute. Especially the team's fairly healthy right now. If you saw the practice report yesterday, Mike was joking about that at the end of his press conference. It's Tyron, and then everybody else is a full participant. So I know they got a few guys on IR, but they're not very banged up in terms of the guys that are available. So, yeah, keep an extra kicker on the practice squad. Why not?
Yes, you have a big practice squad. Plus, you have an offensive lineman that doesn't take up a spot in Isaac, number 60.
How'd I do with that?
This is fine. It's funny how people like to really emphasize certain things, which I
thought that's what the
better than saying
I thought that's what the
Alarkin.
accent meant. Yeah.
Isaac Alarkin.
Look, who said
Painfully white.
I'm
Okay,
sure
that's
somebody.
what we're dealing with here.
I'm sure somebody has said that. I did want to talk a little bit about. Let's go back a little bit to the offensive line, and I'm going to ask Bucky about this, but I want to get you guys' opinion on it as well. This week, Dallas is facing some defensive tackles that are pretty good. You got Chris Jones, you got Jaron Reed. They move Chris Jones around a bit, but both those guys can line up in the middle. They're right now leading Kansas City in quarterback hits with 9 and 8. How concerned are you with that matchup, particularly with the interior part of this offensive line? Obviously, we're not talking about Zach Martin.
Yeah.
We're talking about Connor Williams. We're talking about Tyler Biadasz. How concerned are you with that matchup and those guys being able to get that penetration up the middle that can sometimes create some real problems for quarterbacks?
8 out of 10 concern level. Okay.
That's
do we have to explain
Yes.
why?
Well, this is a show where we do that. So, yeah.
Well, I
give me
mean,
some
who hasn't
explanation.
been watching? I mean, who hasn't seen? I mean, it's been holding 52. I mean, it's taking over holding 75 back in the 80s when Phil Pozderac used to do it. It used to be holding number 75 every time they played the Giants. Now it's holding 52. So let's, I mean, either you move Lyle Collins over to guard, or if you don't do it, you just hold your breath, and hopefully he doesn't hold Chris Jones all game.
I did want to ask you guys this the other day, but you guys kept talking and talking, so I just never did. I just sat here in silence. But I did have the question in my head. We were talking about the line, and we were talking about Connor, and it just makes me wonder. And I know this coaching staff is not necessarily afraid to make changes. We've seen it happen, but it makes me wonder. As long as they're winning games, and as long as you don't get someone hitting Dak really hard and you're like, okay, that's it, you're out, put someone else in. To what extent, or what does it need to really take for them to make a move like that and put someone else instead of Connor Williams? Or do they just keep okay, we'll take on whatever penalties, and okay, not every pocket is going to be completely clean for Dak. He might have to get out and go the other way and things like that. But as long as they're winning, it's okay, when do we fix this? Or if they do want to.
I think when you have a better option. When you have a better option, and I don't know if they believe Lyle Collins moving to guard where he hasn't done it in 5 or 6 years is a better option. I mean,
And I don't think they're going to do that until Tyron Smith is 100% ready to go and available,
Rob
or
Phillips
if they
made
do that
point.
at all.
Rob made a good point there. But when do you just say, hey, we're good here on left tackle? I mean, ever. I don't think you will. I think you have to have 3 good tackles. Now, if Ty Nsekhe factored back into this, that'd be different. But I don't know if he does right now. So I think that they feel like they've got 3 tackles. And
I think you're living in the harsh reality of the NFL. I was talking about this earlier today. It's hard to have 5 offensive linemen that you feel great about, all of them in this league. The Cowboys were very fortunate that in 14 and 16 they really had that, great wall and all that stuff. It's hard to pull off. And so if they want to give Connor McGovern a shot, I'm fine with that. Honestly, it doesn't bother me, but they see these practices, they might not feel that he's up to it, and I can't just hammer the table and be like, you're definitely making a mistake. Odds are that's probably going to be the weak link on your offensive line no matter what you do. Right. And every team in the league can probably relate to that to some degree, where it's our pick a position. For some teams, it's right tackle. They're like, yeah, it's a mess over there. Mm-hmm. What are you going to do? Mm-hmm.
There's been more talk, I think, over the last several weeks on Connor Williams and his issues, and not so much that I've really heard or seen regarding Tyler Biadasz. Has he played better, or is it just a situation where Connor's really a problem, and so sometimes the problem gets all the attention when Tyler's having his issues too, but everybody's just focused on Connor?
I think he's played better. I think Tyler Biadasz has cleaned up his game, and that's which. I'm not hating on us. It's our job. But when you're talking about this every day and reacting to each and every game, that's why I always say a season is a living, breathing thing. Guys are going to get better. Guys are going to go through slumps. Units are going to get hurt. It's all part of it. But I really think Tyler Biadasz has played well this last month or so. And remember, back when everybody was worried about him, it was, this guy's only started 10 or 12 times in the league. He's still learning how to do this stuff. And so it's encouraging to think that, and I'm not saying he's Travis Frederick, but I think he has risen up to a consistent level of play over this last month or so.
The way you ask the question should tell you enough, because it's he's not doing anything that really stands out, or you don't see Dak just kind of almost fumbling the ball right there with the snap. So the fact that we're not talking about it should be enough for you to say, okay, he's handling the job good enough.
And I also think it has a lot to do with his matchups, right? It's going to be moments when he's having to play a Vita Vea type player, a guy that's really strong, that's going to line up on the nose. And because a lot of times the center is really kind of helping out either to the left or the right side. It's when you run up against that team, where you're going to line up a nose on the center, and he's going to go at the center. And a strong one, I think that we've seen where Tyler typically has his issues.
I will say this, going back to your original question, I think Chris Jones is one of the most underrated players in the NFL.
Agree.
I was talking to somebody, a friend of mine, last night about how for all the credit that Chase Young and Montez Sweat have gotten over the years, Jonathan Allen wrecked Tampa Bay's game plan. That's another guy that we're familiar with who has the potential to do that type of stuff. And and I want to ask Bucky about this. I'm not going to pretend to know, but it seems like a storyline up there is Jones has been bouncing around a little bit more. They've been playing it at him at end more often than they have in the past. And so I wonder, what do you do in this matchup? I feel I would want him playing against Connor and Tyler.
Yeah, absolutely.
If I were the Chiefs, I would be get in there and wreck that.
Between him and Reed, I would be those are your targets. Go attack them right here.
Yeah. And he's scary. I mean, I don't want to say he won them that Super Bowl because they have Mahomes, but he made some game-changing plays in that game. He is a phenomenal player.
Yeah. All right, we're going to take our first break. When we come back, we'll be joined by Bucky Brooks of NFL Network. We'll talk KC defense versus Dallas offense. We'll do that when we come right back. This is DallasCowboys.com radio.
Before there was a draft, you could size up a cowboy by 3 simple factors: the crease in his hat, the bend of his brim, and his unbending attitude. A man Stetson didn't just protect him from what life threw at him, it projected a rugged, unstoppable spirit. Stetson hats are still American-made with pride right here in Texas. They're still the unofficial crown of all self-respecting cowboys, and Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Find a retailer nearest you at stetson.com/cowboys.
The Cowboys way, where 16 Hall of Famers and 5 championships shows us what success looks like. where turkey is always the second best part of Thanksgiving Day, where we are all defined by one single thing, the star, where we as fans know it's our job to keep the tradition going. Bank of America is proud to be the official bank of the Dallas Cowboys and to support the quest of living life the Cowboys way.
Copyright 2020, Bank of America Corporation.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black? Right now, you can get the Jack Black Starter, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The starter includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites, plus a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word TEAMJB. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys. The Jack Black Starter, $10, free shipping.
Honey, big news.
Gary, are you okay?
Oh, I'm not Gary anymore. I'm Jackie Flash.
What?
See, I want the latest smartphone, but the best deals are only for new customers. So, to get a new customer deal, I changed my name to Jackie Flash.
Okay, but the best smartphone deals at AT&T are for everyone, new and existing customers.
That's huge. Then guess who's getting a deal?
Is it Jackie Flash?
Jackie Flash.
It's not complicated. At AT&T, our best smartphone deals are for everyone. Restrictions apply. Visit att.com for details.
Back to the break.
This is sort of a Christmas one because Rowdy's holiday deliveries are now available. You can spread the joy this holiday season with a surprise and exclusive gifts from your favorite mascot, Dave. Book your holiday delivery today at DallasCowboys.com/Rowdy. Where does Rowdy rank on the top mascots for you?
That sounds awesome to me.
Yeah.
That sounds
number
cool.
1. Rowdy.
I'm thinking ideas here.
Biting my tongue so hard it bleeds.
That'd be cool.
That would be cool.
Just Rowdy.
It's Rowdy.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas. I'm back. All right, welcome back. It is the second segment.
I'm just laying out. I'm just laying out on that whole thing.
Live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. We are joined right now by Bucky Brooks of NFL Network. We're going to talk a little Kansas City defense versus the Dallas offense today. And Bucky, I was looking at the numbers on this defense. Right now, they are ranked 26th in rushing yards per attempt, giving up 4.6 yards per attempt, and 30th in net passing yards per attempt, giving up 7.4 yards. Obviously not great. Is there one thing that is more of an opportunity for Dallas than the other, run versus pass?
Well, I mean, I think you got to probe both areas. I think if you're the Dallas Cowboys, you have to come in the game thinking that you have to run it. Not only running it necessarily for yards because you feel good about Zeke Elliott and Tony Pollard, but I think this is a game where you want to control the tempo. And the best way to control the tempo is to run the ball, drain the clock, not expose your defense to a ton of offensive plays from the Kansas City Chiefs. I think the running game is critical to that strategy because you don't necessarily want this to be a shootout against the Kansas City Chiefs.
That seems odd to me, just when you're considering the number 1 scoring offense in the league, the number 1 total yards in the league. Why would you say? I mean, why wouldn't you think Kansas City wouldn't want to do the same on the other end? Are you saying Kansas City's offense is more explosive than the Cowboys?
No, I'm saying I would worry more so just about protecting my defense. I want to make sure that I give the defense an opportunity to win the game. If we think about it from a complementary football standpoint, I mean, Kellen Moore can dial it up and they can throw it all over the yard, but I don't know if you want to necessarily have a 45-42 game against the Kansas City Chiefs. Like, we can say that they're struggling, they're 6-4, they're finding their way, but that quarterback on the other end is really, really good. And I think Dak Prescott is good too, but I think if I'm managing the team from the head coaching spot, what is the best way for us to win? Well, the best way that Dallas has always won traditionally over the last decade has been when their offense dictates the turn, they run out to a lead, they run the ball out, they run the clock out, and then they keep the defense off the field. I think that's how they want to play it. I don't think you want the Cowboys defense playing 75 snaps against Pat Mahomes and company because at some point the lack of pass rush will allow him to make too many big plays.
Buck, we were just talking about this on the first segment. Chris Jones kind of seems like he's bouncing around on this Kansas City defense. What do they have him doing right now? What do you expect he's going to do on Sunday?
Well, they started out the season with Chris Jones playing in. They wanted to have him on one end, Frank Clark on the other end. And it was okay, but he was kind of like a fish out of water. Team started running right at them. He wasn't comfortable. And despite all the immense talent that he has, he just didn't have the same kind of impact. Well, now they have the flexibility to be able to kick him back inside. They traded for Melvin Ingram. They have Alex Okafor. So you'll probably see Jones more inside than outside. And when he's inside, he's a dominant player. He's as good as he's ever been.
Yay.
Bucky, last week we saw the Cowboys right off the bat get on that field and just have fun. A lot of energy, just having fun. A lot of creative plays from Kellen Moore. Is this a week that they just kind of go in being themselves once again? Or maybe Kellen Moore just kind of solidifies a little more and like limits his play to keep it more clean? Not clean, but what's the word I'm looking for? Oh my God, I can't think of the word in English.
Clean worked.
Clean.
Well, but it's
Clean.
not clean. But
Clean
you
pie.
get my point.
Amber, I get the point. I think here's the thing. I think Kellen Moore has to be ready to call a game that can go in a couple different directions. He has to be able to have enough plays on the call sheet to be able to handle if it becomes a shootout. He also has to have enough on the call sheet where he can control it if things are going the way the Cowboys want. I think part of the job of the offensive coordinator is to be able to be nimble and flexible and then kind of figure it out as the game is going. And so there's a plan A, but I think he also has to have plan B and C. But I think the emphasis from the Cowboys standpoint is always on a clean game. Like if they can avoid the turnovers, if they can find a way to get the ball into the hands of their playmakers early and often, you want to do that. And I think this is a game where typically in big games, stars dictate the outcomes. And so CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, Ezekiel Elliott, look, Tony Pollard and Michael Gallup, they also have to have roles. But I think this is, if we're playing a video game of Madden, man, just get the ball to your best players over and over and over again. At some point, they will make something big happen.
Yeah, we were. I'm going to go back a little bit to that conversation we were having on Chris Jones. I'm going to throw in Jaron Reed as well. They are both leading that team in quarterback hits with 9 and 8 respectively. What kind of, when you think about them and you think about the matchup on the other side of the Cowboys with Connor Williams and Tyler Biadasz, what kind of challenges do they present to Dallas, particularly from the standpoint of the strength there in the middle when they decide to push Chris Jones down inside? What kind of a challenge does that present for Dallas?
It's a big challenge. I mean, I heard you guys talking about Tyler Biadasz playing better, and we know what Connor Williams is. I mean, look, it's an issue. It's an issue inside if those guys get going. And I think the first quarter will kind of dictate everything. If the Cowboys are playing on the other side of the line of scrimmage on offense, then it's going well because they're creating a push. But if Jaron Reed and Chris Jones are having their way early, particularly on the inside, it's problematic because what it does is it disrupts the rhythm of the passing game. Because now Dak Prescott can't throw from in the middle of the pocket. He's having to move around. And anytime the quarterback starts moving around, a lot of times the accuracy begins to wane because you're not in a comfortable spot. That interior three, they got to play well because if they don't play well, it's going to be a long day for the Cowboys.
Do you think this is another reason why running the ball seems to be a better option for Dallas, at least establishing the run so you don't get in a situation where those guys are just being able to just kind of run after the quarterback?
I mean, look, I want them to run it, but I don't necessarily mean you got to come out and the first 20 plays have to be all runs. I think at some point you have to be able to run it when everyone in the stadium knows that you're running it. I think a comfortable strategy would be if they could come out early throwing, because we've seen the Cowboys do this, throw early, run late. In the first quarter, come out, getting the ball outside, make them run from sideline to sideline to also tire down Chris Jones and Jaron Reed, make them chase the guys on the perimeter. And then as you settle into the game in the end of the first quarter, second quarter, then you begin to have a steady dose of Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard and those things. The running has to be effective in the second half because in the second half, if you're up, you have to be able to control it. You got to be able to run it when everyone knows, hey, man, it's a critical situation. They're trying to run the clock out. You have to be able to do it. So that's what I mean. I would say just keep an eye on the attempts more so than the yards. If the Cowboys get over 30 attempts, then the game is under control and they're playing the game the way they want to.
Is Kansas City's secondary as easy to explain as Daniel Sorensen wasn't up to a starting job and they got him out of there and they're playing better? Or is there more to it than that?
I mean, it was a little bit of where's Waldo. They would kind of find him early and often and go at him. He does some good things for them at times, but being in coverage down after down is not his forte. And so when they get him off the field, you got Juan Thornhill, you have Tyrann Mathieu, you have young kid on the outside, Snead. Those guys are playing okay. Mike Hughes, who Jay traded for Minnesota, is someone who is vulnerable. So it's not just that. It's them also trying to pick up Spags' complex coverages because the scheme that they play, man, they kind of throw it at you because all Spags is wanting is a negative play each drive. He's trying to get a sack, something that puts you behind the chains so they can get you off the field. It is not a defense that's trying to dominate you by, like, completely suffocating you. It's almost like playing arena ball. I'm just trying to get a stop or two because we feel like our offense can score enough points, even though they are playing better defense the last couple of weeks.
Well, we don't tend to talk about special teams a whole lot, but Fassel has kind of spiked my interest to another level when it comes to special teams. But I want to ask you about Kansas and their team. I mean, are they any special, or is it pretty basic in what they've been doing?
I mean, they have a lot of speed. I mean, anytime you have a fast team, you have an opportunity to make big plays in the kicking game, in the return game, and those things. They don't use Tyreek Hill back there anymore, but Mecole Hardman is certainly dangerous. The rest of the returners are dangerous. And so when you have a fast team like they have, because this is one of the fastest teams you'll find in the league, they can create big plays, either by blocking punts, coming after it in the return game. Yeah, so it's an issue. I think for the Cowboys, I don't think they need to be tricky this week. I think they need to be solid. So I would probably curb and pull on Foster's coattails and be like, we might not need a fake punt. We probably don't need to do some unnecessary gambles. It's one of those. It's just one of those things. Let's just play it straight up and see what it looks like. And if we need it, we can go to it. But I don't think this is one where you have to be over aggressive trying to manufacture points and things in the kicking game.
All right, Bucky, before we let you break out, we want to know what the prediction is. Who's going to win this game? Maybe the hardest prediction you've had to make all season because these teams are both really, really good. Who wins?
Well, no, I think this is a measuring stick and a statement game. I think for the Cowboys, if the Cowboys want to be considered legitimate Super Bowl contenders, you got to knock off a team that has been in the tournament, deep in the tournament. So I think this is a game where the Cowboys are probably more motivated because I'm sure Mike McCarthy has stood in front of the room and talked about it. Like, hey, everyone thinks that we're okay, but when you drop one like you did to the Broncos, but then you come and beat a team like the Falcons that you should overmatch them and overwhelm them, this is the one where you want to get the attention. So I think the Cowboys will play well, but I think this is a 3-point game. Maybe 30-27 Cowboys, but I think this is one where they have to make a statement. Because they win this one, then the conversation really does start about the team being a title contender.
All right, we appreciate you joining us. We're going to take our final break. We'll come back, and we got a few more questions we're going to ask these guys about the Cowboys offense. We'll do that when we come back. This is DallasCowboys.com radio.
Hi, I'm Clint Tillison with...
And I'm Jay Novacek, and we're both with...
United Ag and Turf, the official tractor provider of the Dallas Cowboys.
So, if you need a tractor to bale some hay, a mower to cut some grass, or a gator to get some chores done...
Get a John Deere at United Ag and Turf.
And then, let's get to work.
Hey, Jay, that's my line.
Well, not today.
Get to work with a John Deere tractor package that's just right for you and your budget. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com.
Honey, big news.
Gary, are you okay?
Oh, I'm not Gary anymore. I'm Jackie Flash.
What?
See, I want the latest smartphone, but the best deals are only for new customers. So, to get a new customer deal, I changed my name to Jackie Flash.
Okay, but the best smartphone deals at AT&T are for everyone, new and existing customers.
That's huge. Then guess who's getting a deal?
Is it Jackie Flash?
Jackie Flash.
It's not complicated. At AT&T, our best smartphone deals are for everyone. Restrictions apply. Visit att.com for details.
New Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. You deserve it.
I do deserve that.
You deserve decadent flavor without sugar. And a day at the beach without sand getting everywhere. And a relaxing bath that your children don't interrupt.
I deserve all that?
It's really just a visual metaphor for Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. Everything you want, nothing you don't.
A visual metaphor on the radio. I do deserve that.
Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. The zero you deserve is finally here.
Before there was a draft, you could size up a cowboy by 3 simple factors: the crease in his hat, the bend of his brim, and his unbending attitude. A man's Stetson didn't just protect him from what life threw at him, it projected a rugged, unstoppable spirit. Stetson hats are still American-made with pride right here in Texas. They're still the unofficial crown of all self-respecting cowboys, and Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Find a retailer nearest you at stetson.com/cowboys.
Back to the break.
They play? Hey, Cowboys Nation, it's holiday season. If you haven't found out, you all right? Spend your holiday at the Star. Grab some gifts of new player jerseys, tees, hats, exclusive collections, some great deals. I don't know what's going on around me here, but the Pro Shop has more Cowboys gear than anyone in the game. They got belts too, probably over there. Visit your local Dallas Cowboys Pro Shop or online shop.dallascowboys.com.
Welcome back to the final segment of the break, live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios.
Why are you looking at me like that? Like Carlton.
Anyway, let's finish this show off right, Amber and Dave. Let's get to some questions about this Cowboys offense. I think, and actually, Nick, you brought up this question to Bucky, and I could tell as he was answering the question, you disagreed with him.
1,000%.
Talking about, like, he was more saying, hey, I don't think the Cowboys necessarily need to be as aggressive. That's at least what I took from it. That maybe they need to kind of play it straight, and that even comes down to them, maybe taking a little bit more time off the clock in order to keep the Kansas City defense off the field. My question for you guys is, do you think Dallas needs to be aggressive to win this kind of game going up against an offense like Kansas City's?
Yeah, I don't agree with what he said, and I mean we got 22 questions to him, so I'm not going to sit there and go back and forth. But I just don't agree. If the end result is a touchdown, that's what I'm taking. And if you have to pass the ball around the yard to do that, then I'm going to do that. I think the Cowboys' offense is better than the Chiefs right now. They don't have as many explosive players that are been in the Pro Bowl and all that stuff, but from top to bottom, I think that they're better. So if I can move the ball up and down the field and score points and I'm getting touchdowns out of it, I'm not going to play this running game with weak links on the offensive line that can't push the pile. That's not what they do. They go and score points, and if they score points and put the pressure on Mahomes, I'll take that all day.
I don't think these things have to be mutually exclusive. I take issue with the idea of like some super conservative game plan because you feel overmatched and you got to keep Mahomes off. No, stop. This isn't like a MAC team trying to beat Ohio State. Like just anything we can do to shorten the game and get some. No, not that. But the run game can be a strength for this team. We've seen it, and depending on the way you want to play, what's the phrase we say all the time: aggressively take what they give you. And you can shorten the game and, more importantly, keep Kansas City off the field if the run game is clicking. But you can be aggressive in that way as well. Like I don't think it has to be either or. Yes, they should use the run game to keep Patrick Mahomes off of the field. I think that's a good idea. But not in this idea of like, well, we don't want to score too quickly or but no, like take the shots that are there for you. Like they shouldn't be afraid of anyone or anything, but they should use their run game to their advantage sorry, go ahead.
I would say nothing helps the defense more than a touchdown from the offense.
Well, yeah, absolutely. But ideally, if you can run 5 to 7 minutes off the clock, 8 plays, run the ball a few times, and score a touchdown, that is obviously a best case scenario. I've been thinking about this a lot. And granted, I don't watch the other teams anywhere near as much as I watch the Cowboys, but I think the Cowboys are a little bit rare in the sense that they are a contender that can pound the rock. Like it's such a pass-heavy league. The Packers can do it too. Mm-hmm. I mean,
although Aaron Jones now out and don't know how long.
But A.J. Dillon's pretty good.
He's pretty good, yeah.
So there are other teams that can do it, but like Kansas City, we've talked about it all the time. Like they've struggled. Clyde Edwards-Helaire hasn't really been that force on the ground that they need.
Tennessee lost their guy. Yeah.
Yeah. So. The Rams just never want to run the ball ever. They don't have Cam Akers, blah, blah, blah. So I think that is a unique advantage that the Cowboys can play that style of football, maybe better than any of the other good teams in the NFL right now.
Especially when it gets colder. Right now we see all these stats. The stats always kind of go down when you get into these games in December and January now.
I balk at the idea that you're playing in a way where you're like trying to sneak out of Arrowhead with a win. Absolutely not. But you can still use the running game to your advantage.
Amber.
Well, it makes me wonder how effective they can really be by changing kind of what they've been doing, becoming a little more conservative, more playing it safe type of stuff. Like, that's not who they've been so far. We've seen that in the past. It has worked at times, but it has not gotten us the end result that have been seeing this year. So I'm more in the aggressiveness part. Keep doing what you're doing. Go out there. Don't be scared. Just play football. Keep having fun. And if it works out to their, I mean, I'm hoping it does, but I just, it really does. I'm like, would that mess them up? Just kind of changing their motto. Not that that's their motto, but I'm making it their motto. But, you know, when you change things, even like, and we saw it, what was it, against Denver, where they're like, well, try to be clean on the field with tackles and penalties. And, you know, what Mike McCarthy was saying, that he was preaching to his defense and his team just to clean up the game. And we saw how they went out there in Denver and how they played and how terrible that was. So I don't want to go back to that. Just go out there and give it all you got.
Does that aggressiveness extend to special teams? Obviously, they like to go for it on fourth down. Are you saying that you're okay with them being aggressive in every aspect of the game? Is this a game where they should be aggressive in every aspect?
Just play your game. You're the better football team. You don't have. They're the better team. They are the better team this year. They haven't played the schedule Kansas City's played, but Kansas City's in their own head too a little bit. And I don't if they got out of it, great. But the Cowboys, we always say it's not a big sample size. Yeah, it is. You've played 9 games. You're a good football team. You're really good. You're 7-2. Go do your thing. Your offense is better than anybody. Go. If you want to go block a punt and it's there, go block a punt.
But in all fairness, what do we really know about their level of how competitive they are against those upper echelon teams in the league? They've only played one, and that one they lost. And we gave them a lot of credit for that game because they played really well.
Yeah.
But they haven't really played those teams. And by the way, I'm one of those people who believe you got to play your schedule, and they've played their schedule and they've played it really well. But we really haven't seen them against that level of team yet, right?
If the Cowboys beat them, then they won't be. Then
everybody will say they're not as good.
Right.
Yeah,
the caricature at ESPN will sit up there and say, well, did they beat a 6-5 team?
Yeah.
You know, because that's what they are.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll be 6-5 if they lose. The Cowboys will be 7-3 if they lose. This is a really, really big game for Kansas City to not keep falling behind. But man, I wouldn't be scared about him.
Yeah.
I mean, Mahomes, I think, is the best quarterback in the league, but I wouldn't be scared about him because he likes. I mean, Brett Favre was the best at one time too. He threw picks and touchdowns.
It's fun. I agree with you completely, but I think the Cowboys have been the better team. I don't know if they are the better team yet. And that's it goes back to my point. Like, it's a long season. Tampa Bay was 7-5 heading into the home stretch last year. And so Kansas City has all the ability in the world to flip this thing around and not lose another game. But we don't know that yet.
So we got to be in the Super Bowl for you to buy into this team?
No, that's not what I said at all. No, I'm firmly bought in on the Cowboys. I think they're one of the 4 best teams in the NFL. But
this is when they typically you start distinguishing.
This isn't really
what.
This isn't about the Cowboys really so much as it is about the Chiefs for me. Like, they've been a middling team. It's like the Golden State Warriors. Like, they lose 4 games in a row and everybody's freaking out. And it's like, no, we've got like 3 Hall of Famers. We're gonna figure this out and we're gonna be there at the end. That there's just a difference. And I do think we don't know that about the Cowboys yet. Like, the Cowboys haven't been through these wars where they're getting to the AFC title game every year. And that's what I've said going back to when they hired McCarthy. Yes, you want to win the Super Bowl, but success for Mike McCarthy is being in the playoffs every year and being like, yeah, the Cowboys are going to be there. They are. Like,
make runs. Like, maybe not the Super Bowl, but make deep runs.
And the Cowboys have been unable to sustain that for 25 years of just like every year you're like, we have a pretty good idea that they'll be there in the postseason. That's what the Chiefs are right now. And so that's what I think about. But to Nick's point, play your game. And this is an analytics nerd's dream. I remember it was like 2 years ago, the Ravens set the world on fire because they went for it on 4th down against the Chiefs like 6 times. I don't think that they got like one of them. They did terrible. And Harbaugh got roasted for it, and he was like, look who you're playing. This is how you got to play. You're not winning kicking field goals. You got to be aggressive, go for the throat. And that's what I will say. I know about the Cowboys. They should not alter the way they play at all.
The way they play is aggressive.
Yeah, they are good enough to go in there and play their style of football and win the game.
Amber?
No.
Anthony Brown.
I'm going to argue.
What do you think Anthony Brown's going to do? I mean, what do you think Anthony Brown's message, which is now McCarthy's message because he stole it from Anthony Brown, which is great. I mean, but like, we're taking everyone's best shot. Why don't we start shooting first?
Yeah.
And I think maybe that was the reason McCarthy took the ball.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Like, you know what? Let's go do it. Let's go. Why don't we take their best shot? So that's one thing about this team is that a motivated, hungry, pissed off Cowboys team. I mean, I'm not sure who can beat them. I mean, we don't know that yet either. I mean, we'll see. We'll see how it all shakes out.
But they shouldn't be afraid of anyone. That's the message is there's nobody in the NFL that the Cowboys should be afraid to go up against.
I said this on a show I did yesterday. I can't prove the Cowboys are the best team in the league, but they have as good a case as anybody to be considered that right now, just based on what has happened to this point in the season.
And I had another dream last night about watching players out practicing and stuff like that.
This one tell us.
This one had Randy Gregory out there, like we had talked about, like already back there, kind of working on the court and stuff like that. Yeah.
What do you think that means?
That means maybe after the Raiders game, going into the Saints game, he could be back from IR. That's what it means if the dream is right, because you can dream about weird stuff.
It's
a good dream, though.
I didn't know where you were going with that, but it was good. It was really good.
Thank you.
I think I've brought that up before too. It's like that's what's exciting to me is yes, this is a huge game. This is a big stretch, but again, what are you doing in December when the postseason really starts to round into form? Well, the Cowboys should be getting like 3 badass players back. And that's the type of stuff you think about where, yes, this game is huge, but the big picture for me is even more exciting regardless of what happens on Sunday. But I'm glad you brought that up too, because somebody asked me that, and I get it. The Cowboys are rolling. They're 7-2. The league looks different when the Cowboys are good, all that stuff. I guarantee you they think of themselves as the team with something to prove because the Chiefs are the standard of success in the NFL. I don't care what their record is because they're there at the end of the year, like I was just talking about. And so that's exciting to think that the Cowboys aren't the team that is getting their best shot on Sunday. They should be the team that's trying to give their best shot to the champs. I know they're not actually the champs, but you get my point.
You want to have the best in the league. Andy Reid can be, arguably could be one of the best coaches. I know Belichick's up there. I mean, he is up there. He's the standard. But, I mean, quarterback, I think most people would say he is the best quarterback in the league. And then tight end, yes. I don't know if he's the best receiver, but he's damn sure the fastest receiver.
The scariest, yeah.
So, they've got just elite players, elite talent. And, that's what makes this thing fun. They have maybe the best home crowd in the league.
Dave is confusing the crap out of me.
Why?
And not that you're trying to, but let me explain.
Well, if you're confused, maybe somebody else is confused.
No. I think it's more of a personal belief. And I can form my own opinions based on the things that I see by myself and hear on my own and all that. But when I have to sit next to you and the people that are around you, they tend to influence you a certain way. But you started the week kind of talking about Kansas City a certain way, towards this is going to be tough and, kind of leaning towards that way more. And then the more you speak, the more bouncing back and forth I feel into what is creating in my mind based on everything that you're saying. Not that you're saying anything bad, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get it.
The good and bad, and it happens every week. But I feel so... One, this is going to be a really fun game to watch. 2, I feel like it is going to be all about both offenses scoring points over and over. But I just cannot make up my mind of what I truly feel that's going to happen this week and in which team it's better this week.
That's totally okay, by the way. And I'm with you. I wish I could roll in here on Tuesday like Nick and be like, yeah, they're going to crush the Falcons and just be totally right about it.
One-time thing.
you bounce back and forth. And this is a toss-up game, in my opinion. If the Cowboys were at home, I'd feel much more confident. But that is a tough place to play. And I weigh the pedigree so heavily of what they've accomplished. I know it's a different team, but it is a team full of guys that know what it takes to get to the Super Bowl. Yeah. The Cowboys don't have that right now. But again, and so it is incredibly possible, maybe even slightly likely that they lose this game. But they have the ability to win it, and they should not see themselves as underdogs, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, we appreciate you guys joining us. We'll be back tomorrow. We're going to get you guys ready for Cowboys versus Chiefs. Big game. We'll tell you what's going to happen in our opinions and give you our predictions for the game. Till then, for Nick Eatman, Dave Hellman, Amber Garcia, I'm Derek Eagleton. This has been The Break live on DallasCowboys.com. Radio.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about Goddamn Cowboys!